The forest swallows the light early here. By 4 o'clock, the canopy above the Appalachian Trail in western North Carolina turns the world beneath it into something close to dusk. The trail is narrow. The trees are old, Douglas firs and black birches with bark the color of ash, and they grow so close together that a person can disappear between them in 3 steps. 5 hikers move in a loose line along the dirt path. Their boots crunch over dead leaves and exposed root systems that cross the trail like the fingers of something buried beneath the earth. At the front walks Ethan, mid-20s, broad-shouldered, a worn green pack on his back. His eyes move constantly, not with fear, but with the practiced alertness of someone who has spent real time in real wilderness. Behind him, Lola Chantel. She keeps her distance from the trees on her left. She has kept that distance for the last mile without knowing why. Then Lucas, talking, he's always talking, about signal bars and calorie counts and whether bears actually attack in groups. Nobody is listening to Lucas. Sophie walks just ahead of the rear. She knows this section of trail better than the others. She has her trail map folded in her left hand, but she has not looked at it in over an hour. She already knows where they are. And at the very back, Daniel. Silent. Head slightly bowed. He has not spoken since mile marker 7. Nobody has noticed yet. The trail bends right around a dense cluster of birch trees, and then, without any warning, all 5 of them stop. There is a figure standing in the middle of the path. The figure is a woman. She stands absolutely still, facing them. Her hiking gear is dark. Slate gray jacket, dark trousers, black boots laced to the knee. A pack on her back that looks too light to carry anything useful. Her face is partially shadowed by the hood of her jacket, but not enough to explain why no one can seem to make out her features clearly. She raises one hand in a slow, deliberate greeting. "Heading north?" she asks. Her voice is flat, not unfriendly, just flat. Sophie steps forward. "Yeah, campsite at Ridgeback Clearing. You know it." The woman, who will give her name as Raven, though she offers no last name, no trail registration, nothing, nods once. "I know it." A pause. The wind moves through the trees above and brings nothing warm with it. "Is there something on the trail?" Ethan asks. "Ahead of you?" Raven looks at him for a long moment before answering. "There's always something on the trail." She steps aside and lets them pass. Daniel does not look at her as he walks by. He stares straight ahead. When Ethan glances back after 20 paces, Raven is still standing in the same spot, watching them go. She does not move. The clearing is real. A wide, flat break in the forest marked on every trail map of the region. Fire pit stones, 2 old wooden trail markers, the distant sound of water moving somewhere below the ridge. They set up camp efficiently, tents in a loose ring. The fire started low and fed carefully. Headlamps switched on as the last light dies above the tree line. It is Lola who first says something is wrong. She sits at the edge of the firelight, her headlamp aimed at the dark space between 2 birch trees 20 feet away. Her food sits untouched beside her. "There's no sound," she says. Lucas looks up. "What?" "There's no sound. From the forest. Nothing." A beat. They all listen. She is right. No insects. No rustling in the undergrowth. No distant animal movement. The Appalachian forest at dusk is not a quiet place. The Appalachian forest at dusk is a living machine of noise. But right now, in this clearing, in this particular section of trail in western North Carolina, nothing. "Wind dropped," Sophie says, but her voice is careful. She is not looking at the trees. She's looking at her trail map. "Sophie." Ethan's voice is low. "What's at Ridgeback?" Sophie folds the map. "There was an incident. 2019. A hiker went missing up here, about 200 meters north of this clearing." She pauses. They found his gear, tent still standing, food still on the camp stove. He was just gone. Silence. They find him? Lucas asks. No, Sophie says. She feeds a branch into the fire. The flame surges briefly and then settles back, throwing the tree line into sharp relief. And in that moment of light, in the 2-second surge of the flame, Lola sees it. A shape, standing between the birch trees. Still. Tall. No face catching the light the way a face should. And then the flame drops, and the shape is gone. Lola does not say anything for 10 seconds. Then she says, very quietly, "Ethan, check the north tree line." He does. Nothing is there. The fire has burned to embers. 4 tents, 5 sleeping hikers, or what should be 5 sleeping hikers. Daniel is awake, has been awake for over an hour, sitting upright in his sleeping bag, staring at the mesh panel of his tent inner. He can hear breathing. Not from inside. Daniel does not move. He regulates his own breathing, long and slow and silent. He was in the military. He knows the discipline of stillness. He sits, and he listens. The breathing outside continues. Steady. Patient. As though whatever is making the sound has no concept of cold, or time, or the discomfort of standing motionless in a forest in the dead of night. Then it stops. Footsteps. Not running. Walking. Moving slowly around the perimeter of the camp. Daniel unzips his tent. The clearing is dark. The embers throw just enough orange light to confirm the other 4 tents are still sealed. The trail markers catch a fragment of moonlight. The fire pit stones glow faint red at their centers. And at the far edge of the clearing, at the point where the tree cover begins, something stands. It is tall. The proportions are approximately human. It wears dark clothing. Or perhaps it is simply dark. It is impossible to tell from this distance. Its head is turned in Daniel's direction. Daniel does not call out. He does not reach for his pack. He stands at the entrance to his tent, perfectly still, and stares back. The figure does not move. For 30 seconds, neither does Daniel. Then the figure turns, very slowly, and steps back into the trees. No sound. No snapping branches. No crunch of leaves. Just gone. Daniel zips his tent back up and sits in the dark until morning. He wakes everyone at first light. "We need to leave," he says. That is all he says. They break camp in 17 minutes. Faster than they should need to. Nobody mentions it. The trail north out of Ridgeback Clearing runs along a ridge before dropping into a hollow section, known locally as the Cut, a stretch of trail where the path narrows to less than a meter wide, flanked on both sides by dense laurel thickets that grow over the trail and turn it into a green tunnel. The light inside the Cut is perpetual twilight regardless of hour. They are 40 minutes into the morning walk when Lola stops. She's looking at the ground. Footprints in the mud beside the trail. Recent, the edges are still sharp. The water has not yet seeped into the impressions. Boot prints, larger than any of theirs, walking north. "Someone's ahead of us," Lucas says. "Those aren't from ahead," Sophie says. She crouches and examines the prints without touching them. Her voice, when she speaks again, is controlled in a way that costs her something. "These are coming from the north, heading south, toward Ridgeback, toward where they camped, toward where they slept." "Raven," Ethan says. Nobody answers him. They keep walking. Faster now. Lucas has stopped talking. The Cut presses in around them, the laurel so thick above their heads that they move through something that is less like a trail and more like a tunnel cut through living green. And then Daniel stops. He puts one hand out to his side. A flat, low gesture. Military. Stop. All of them stop. He is looking at the trail ahead, 20 meters in front of them, visible only because of a gap in the laurel tunnel, where a dead tree has fallen and let the morning light spill through. A figure, standing in the middle of the trail, facing them. Not moving. It is too far away to see details. The light behind it turns it into a silhouette, a dark shape with shoulders and a head, and nothing more. No face visible, no color. It simply stands there in the gap in the green tunnel, waiting. That's not Raven, Lola says, because Raven was behind them. Raven was south, and this figure is north. Lucas breathes out one single word that is not appropriate for publication, but captures, with perfect precision, the emotional state of everyone in the group. Go, Ethan says. Off trail. East. Now. Moving through uncut forest is not like moving through anything else. There is no clear path. Every step must be chosen. The undergrowth grabs at boots and ankles, branches at eye level, roots that drop away suddenly into nothing. They move east in a tight group, Ethan at the front, Daniel at the rear. Nobody speaks. After 20 minutes, Sophie points to a break in the tree line above them, a rocky outcropping, accessible. High enough to see down the slope they've just climbed, high enough to see if anything is following. They climb. From the rock, they can see the cut below, a dark green line pressed into the hillside. The section of trail where the figure was standing is visible from here as a faint gap in the canopy. The gap is empty now. Gone, Lucas says. And then, because Lucas cannot help himself even now, maybe it was another hiker. Maybe it was Raven. Raven was behind us, Lola says. People can move fast on a trail. Lucas, Daniel's voice is very quiet. Look at the ridge. Everyone turns. On the western ridge, 200 meters to their left, where the slope rises into a broken line of exposed limestone, a figure, standing, watching. Same dark shape, same stillness. No face turned toward the morning sky, just there. Present. Patient. It's not on the trail anymore, Sophie says. No, Daniel agrees. It's tracking us. The word tracking sits in the cold morning air like a physical object. They reach the road 4 hours before they planned to. None of them have eaten since the previous night. Lola is limping from a turned ankle on the descent. Lucas has not spoken for 90 minutes. The parking lot is gravel and silence. 3 vehicles, 2 of which belong to the group. The third is a gray pickup truck with North Carolina plates and a cracked windshield. They load their gear and leave without discussion. Ethan drives, Lola in the passenger seat. In the rearview mirror, the trailhead sign shrinks and then disappears as the road curves. He's almost calm by the time they hit the county road. He's almost calm when his phone buzzes. A message. Unknown number. No area code. He picks it up at the next straight stretch of road and reads it. 4 words. He pulls the car over. What? Lola asks. He turns the screen toward her. The message reads, "You left one behind." Lola stares at it. "Lucas," she says. "Sophie? Where's Daniel?" A silence from the back seat that takes 3 full seconds too long. "He was right behind me," Lucas says. "On the slope?" Ethan asks. "On the slope? He was right." Lucas stops. "He was right behind me." But nobody checked. Nobody counted. They ran. They climbed. They descended. They loaded the car. And not one of them, not once, looked back to make sure all 5 of them were still 5. Ethan is already out of the car. He calls Daniel's number. It rings. Somewhere faint, somewhere distant. Something buzzes. He walks to the rear of the car. Daniel's pack is there, strapped to the rear rack, still there, right where they loaded it. But Daniel is not. And somewhere up the road, back toward the trailhead, back toward the forest that has gone completely silent, Daniel's phone rings and rings and rings. They call the ranger station, then the sheriff's department. Then, when neither responds fast enough, they drive back to the trailhead themselves. The gray pickup truck is still there. The ranger arrives first. A search team takes an hour to assemble. By 2 o'clock, 12 people are moving into the Appalachian section north of Ridgeback Clearing. Ethan stays at the trailhead. At 3:40, one of the searchers radios the ranger. They found something. Not Daniel. His jacket. On the ground at the base of the western ridge, near the limestone outcropping where they had all stood that morning. His jacket, laid flat on the ground, as though taken off deliberately and placed there with care. No sign of struggle, no blood, no trail. The ranger questions them all. Ethan answers everything. Then Sophie, then Lucas, then Lola. Lola is the one who mentions Raven. The ranger goes still. "Describe her," he says. Lola describes her. Dark jacket, hood, trail pack, too still, too calm. The ranger looks at his colleague. "Her name was Raven?" he asks. "That's what she said." The ranger reaches into the folder he is carrying and removes a photograph. He places it on the hood of the car. The image is grainy, a trail camera still. Timestamp from 2019. A figure on the Appalachian Trail, caught mid-step, facing the camera. Female. Dark jacket. Hood. "Is this her?" the ranger asks. Lola stares at the photograph for a long time. "Yes," she says. "That's her. That's Raven." The ranger nods slowly. "That photograph was taken on October 14th, 2019, he says. At mile marker 9, 3 days before a female hiker was reported missing in this section. She was never found. The silence that follows is complete. "But we spoke to her," Ethan says. "She was on the trail. She was real. She—" He stops. He remembers something. Mile marker 9. The trail bend. Raven stepping aside to let them pass. She stepped to her right, into the trees, not onto the soft earthen shoulder of the path, into the trees themselves. And she left no sound. He remembers looking back. She was still standing in the middle of the trail, still as stone. No feet, no shadow on the ground. Ethan does not say any of this. He picks up his phone and dials Daniel's number one more time. It rings, and this time, from somewhere deep inside the tree line at the edge of the parking lot, it is answered. No voice on the other end, just breathing. Slow. Patient. Exactly as Daniel had described hearing outside his tent the night before. Ethan stands at the edge of the parking lot and stares into the trees. The trees give nothing back. He ends the call, and somewhere in the forest, in the dark between the birches and the firs and the old roots that cross the trail like the fingers of something buried, a phone screen lights up, and then goes dark,